I was recently on a discovery call with a potential client, and she was relating to me some unkindness that she had experienced in her workplace. And she said to me, I can't understand why they would do something like this. Can't they understand that it's hurtful? And what I had to explain to her is the biggest mistake that many of us make as Black people, especially as Black women in the workplace, is that we expect them to have empathy. And I have explained over and over the reality, and I had to explain to her the reality that we cannot measure them by the same yardstick that we would measure ourselves and each other, right? Because they don't have empathy. They don't have natural empathy. What many white people, and I believe white people as a group, and some people could take offense, but it is what it is, have learned how to do is to cosplay kindness, right? They have been taught to pretend to be nice. The cherry, good morning, and how was your weekend? And then they stop even listening when you start actually telling them how your weekend was, because they don't really care to know how your weekend was. They just say it because they think it's polite to say it, right? But what would really matter is to ask someone how their weekend was and to actually care and want to know how it was, right? But that requires a certain level of humanity that most of them don't possess. Not saying all, but a majority, right? As a group, they don't have empathy. It's been bred out of them. I really believe it is something that has literally been bred out of them, because how could you inflict the kind of harm over the centuries and hundreds of years that this specific group of people, right, who left Europe and went all over the world, inflicted, not just in the Americas, but in Africa, in Asia, in every place they ever landed. They engaged in behavior that caused harm, significant, deep, and lasting harm to the people that they found there, the people who welcomed them, the people who helped them to survive where they were, the people who gave them things, the people they called savages. You're looking for them to have something that they inherently do not have, which is empathy. And sympathy and empathy are not the same thing. Empathy requires being able to put yourself into somebody else's shoes and to feel and care about what happens to them, even if it never happens to you. And as you can see, even now, as people are being fired and losing their jobs, about to lose their medical care and all these things, people only care. A certain group of people only seem to care. Even in the videos they're making on YouTube and TikTok, they only really care when it affects them or somebody that they care about. Same thing we saw in 2020 with COVID. This is how they were able to not hold this person responsible and allow them back into the White House, despite over 1 million people dying due to that person's incompetence, right? Because they don't have empathy and they only care about something if it happens to them. So what do I mean when I say that the empathy has been bred right out of them? I'll give you an example from very current news. Quite recently, there's a video going around of a white woman, a doctor, being dragged out of a town hall meeting in Idaho. And ordinarily, I wouldn't pay any attention to that right now because honestly, that's really not any of our business. However, I think there's something to be learned from that incident. The purpose of a town hall meeting is literally for citizens to talk to their local representatives and or state or federal representatives and share their concerns, which is what this person was doing. And she was talking about the fact that the lack of medical care was harming women when she was forcefully removed from the meeting because whomever she was speaking to didn't like what she was saying. Now, it was a room full of people filled with men and women, all white people, as far as I can tell. This is a white woman. White people love to talk about how important it is to protect white women. White men love to believe that that is their primary responsibility. Just watch American movies and you see what I'm saying. But not a single person raised a finger to do anything. Nobody tried to intervene physically. Nobody really said much to intervene verbally. They all watched this woman be manhandled and zip-tied and dragged out. Now, after the fact, people want to, express indignation and concern. But in the moment, nobody did anything. And if they won't stand up for each other, for their own women, you think they're going to stand up for you? You think you should go down to town halls and be raising hell about whatever's happening to their country that they love to talk about is their country? Do you think that that's something you should do? No, because if they won't even see about righting their own ship and fixing their own situation and defending their own women, they ain't going to do nothing to defend you. And so that's why when these things happen at work and you think just because it's the right thing that they should do the right thing, that's not going to happen. Because unless it's happening to them or someone they actually care about, it's really not happening at all. And in this case, the person they didn't care about was her. But in most cases, it's somebody that looks like you or me. So expecting them to display empathy is a big, big, big mistake at work and elsewhere. And so it's really important for our own safety, physical and mental, to understand this and understand it well. That while some of them may individually have done work to recapture their empathy as a community and as a group, and actually white people don't live in community. They don't even live in community with each other. But that's a video for another day. Let's take out the word community. But the reality is that if they won't do this with each other, they are not going to do it for you. If you ever have time to sit back and witness the way white women in particular treat each other in the workplace, the only people they treat worse, I always say, is black women. They ain't that nice to each other. They are not that nice to each other because they're all seeking ultimately the proximity to the what? White male, who they see as the central power figure and who they do all they can to keep as the central power figure, not just in the workplaces, but in society and in their households, right? And so they could sit, a room full of white women could sit and watch another white woman be attacked in that way and do nothing. Do you think that if that was a black woman and there was a room full of black women, that some of them black women would have got up out of their seats? I don't see any way that would not have happened. She would not have been the only person detained, put it that way. But I wasn't surprised at all that they did not act in any way that displayed any kind of concern or empathy for that woman who looked like many of them in the room. So I think it's very important for those of us who are in these work environments, especially now, to understand they are bereft of empathy. They know how to cosplay kindness, right? But they don't have empathy. They say things because they think they're supposed to say it, and they like order above all things. They don't care about justice. They don't care about doing the right thing as much as they care about order. And so, and being polite, right? And so they will pretend to care about your day. They'll pretend to care about you because they want to get information about you that they may be able to use later, which is why I say, keep your mouth shut and be quiet at work. Don't tell them nothing about you, your personal life. Keep your mouth shut. Be the quiet employee, even if it makes them uncomfortable. Keep your business to yourself, especially now. However, they're not interested in you because they care about you as a person. They're interested in you because they want to figure out how to keep you under control, especially when you look like us, okay? Stop looking for empathy in your workplace, especially from your white coworkers and your white managers and your white leadership. They don't have empathy. Almost any time they do something, it's not because it's right. It's because it's right for the bottom line or it serves an interest they already have. They will pretend that they're doing it because it's the right thing. But when you see how all of these people are falling down to kiss the ring and bend the knee, it tells you that it was never about doing the right thing in the first place. There's no empathy at work. Stop looking for it there. Bye.